Hey, everybody. Welcome to season 3, episode 1 of Hustlers Anonymous. It's your girl, Penny Blackwrite.
And Kevin Benoit, we back. We back. Another. We move fast with these seasons, but we,
we
we
do,
back.
we do. But as hustlers, we're always on the go. We have new projects, we have things we're working on. But, welcome again, guys. And we want to just jump right into this entertainment news. Most recently, DJ Envy, a bunch of celebrities, of course, celebrated Halloween. So DJ Envy has been kind of sparking a whole bunch of controversy due to the costume that his 8-year-old daughter wore. So for those that didn't get to see it or didn't hear anything about it, his 8-year-old daughter dressed up as Lil Kim. Not only did she dress up as Lil Kim, she did a whole the parents, him and his wife orchestrated this entire production of video. They reenacted the video to Crush on You, and she wore the different hair. She had like a pretty much like a really revealing bathing suit on with like a fur, and it just sparked so much controversy. A lot of people was just calling him out for it and just saying that it wasn't age appropriate and things of that nature. So, like, what do you think about that? Did you see the video or anything?
I didn't watch the video. It's a lot of moving parts in entertainment nowadays. I try not to engage in all of it. I initially thought it was just fun, and
Okay.
it was nothing that serious. Like, because again, it was trending on social media, so I did see people talking about it, but I didn't stop and look until the next day when I saw the red bikini and the fur. Like, that's when I was like, okay, this is not this is not fun anymore, right? Like, I personally don't. I didn't have an issue with taking on Lil Kim, right? Like, yeah, I get it. She might not be the most age appropriate artist, but also an 8-year old doesn't really know Lil Kim, right? So that's the parents having fun. It would generally be all good if it was just furs and like regular outfits, but going all out in a bikini, that's where you got to draw the line.
Yeah, for me, it's not only just the bikini, it's the statement. Like you said, this 8-year-old girl does not know Little Kim. So ultimately, it's going back to the parents. And it's like, what are you guys thinking? And I think that's what everybody's outrage was about because they know this little girl don't know Little Kim. But for
Right.
them, it's like, parents, what are you thinking? Another thing, too, they have a teenage-year-old daughter. They have a teenage daughter. I think it would have been more appropriate for the teenage daughter to act out Little Kim versus, the 8-year-old. Another thing too, Little Kim's daughter Royal Rain. I'm not sure of her exact age, but she's either 8, 9, or 10. I don't think she's older than 10. And my thing is, if Little Kim is not allowing for her mini me to dress up as her for Halloween, why would someone else think that it's age appropriate to do so? Now the thing is that a lot of celebrities dress up like Little Kim every year, but nobody has ever allowed for their 8-year-old daughter to do so. So that's very, very telling to me. Another thing too, DJ Envy, he's in the Instagram comments pretty much blaming his wife. Somebody made a comment under, I think it was either the Shade Room or Jasmine Brand, and they basically just said, this has Gia written all over it. So Gia Casey, that's his wife, and he responded and was like, as long as you know. So I just felt like that was a sucker move because you were the one in the video FaceTiming Little Kim, like, yeah, she's dressing up as you. She loves you or we love you. But then you're saying it's on your wife. It's on both of y'all. And actually it's more on you, DJ Envy, because you are the one in the entertainment limelight. Also, you're the dad. So the dad is supposed to provide that discipline, that structure. You were supposed to tell your wife no. If that was her idea, you were supposed to say, no, we're not doing it. So you was with it too, but now because you're in the hot seat, or you're the donkey of the day, because that was some donkey stuff to me. Now you're the donkey of the day. It's my wife's fault. Yeah, whatever. So, DJ Envy, he's not one of my most favorable people anyway. I mean, I don't have no real issue with him. I just feel like he doesn't have the best judgment. And some of the things that I've seen him even say on his podcast with his wife is just questionable. So, I mean, listen, your kids could do whatever they want, but I do also want to add that I think it would have been more age appropriate for this 8-year-old to actually dress as Nicki Minaj than Little Kim. And the reason why I say that is because of Nicki Minaj's brand. It's more catered to the kids. Um, it's more cartoonish. She has the pink wig. So I think it would have been super cute, inappropriate if the little girl had like a pink wig on, maybe like a Barbie chain. Like her whole brand is surrounding around Barbie, which is, that caters to kids, to little girls. So Little Kim's brand has never been for kids, ever. In the history of how long has she been around? Almost 30 years. She's never catered to the kids. It's never been Little Kim is for the kids. She's never did any songs, but she's putting on different voices. Everything has always been sexually fueled, sexually charged. So, in no way, shape, or form is it okay for an 8-year-old to dress up as Little Kim. I might also want to add that Party City doesn't even have Little Kim outfits for 8-year-olds. So, with that being
I
said,
don't think anybody has Lil Kim outfits, right? I mean, honestly, it's a lot of these. That's been a conversation this Halloween. Is like, who people choose to dress as, because it's a lot of, instead of us doing television characters, or instead of people doing television characters, it's more doing people, right? We're doing celebrities, we're doing more entertainers, so it's getting tougher, and part of it is like, is who you gonna dress up as far as TV characters, right? Like, there's not that many shows that even make sense for something like that. um I definitely agree with you that there's really no reason to do Lil Kim. I won't say she has to be completely avoided. I almost say it's better to do her as a 8, 10 year old than to do her as a teen, because as a teen you know enough about Lil Kim. You can there's Yeah, I wouldn't want you to touch her at 15, 16, 17, because that's too much that you can know about her. At 8, 9, 10, you still don't know enough, but you can't do Lil Kim hardcore. You can't do Crush on You. I mean, you could do Crush on You, honestly, but just you can do it where it's just the colors, right? Because that's really what the Crush on You video was: bright colors, wigs. That's cute, right? Like, I don't understand Envy being in the video. You could have did that with a sibling, a cousin, something, another teen celebrity. Just because it's like the age gap don't even make sense. Like, it who's your little C's here? Like, it can't be Envy. It don't make sense. Anyway, but I, again, I get the point with Royal Rain. So Royal Rain is 10. That's Lil Kim's daughter. I don't think Lil Kim just don't be having her outside to be seen. I think that's probably for the best. Um, so Envy just be making some bad choices, honestly, and he's too big of a celebrity to be making these dumb choices. So,
and
and
see, I also just wanted to add, just in the spirit of Halloween, period, I do not like how Halloween has become an entire season now. Like, in the most recent years, people are celebrating Halloween 2 weeks before, a week after Halloween. It's just like Halloween was always that day and maybe the weekend, depending on the day that it fell. But
yeah,
every year, it's like peak. Like, it's just like, really,
extended joint.
it's
You
just
know what it is though?
my
Like,
favorite holiday.
say it again.
My least favorite holiday.
It's your least favorite joint? Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on it, honestly. Like, it don't do much for me. I know some people who love Halloween. I know some people that don't really mess with it because they feel like it's devilish and so on and so forth. Um, I think it is. I'm open to enjoying seasons, right? Like, I'm open to, we can make Halloween a 2 week season just because what else is going on in October, early November, right? Like, so it kind of works out. It gets us through the slog of the changing of the weather, the changing of the time, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't have a problem with it. I have a problem with Christmas decorations already being up, and like 3 blocks away from me, they are already up outside. It is insane. I
Because
don't get it.
Christmas is a actual season. It's no reason to celebrate Halloween for 2 weeks,
Listen,
but Christmas, it is an American holiday. It's a Christian holiday, and it's the season.
we
Like
don't we don't need Christmas to be from the end of October to the end of January. Like, we got to figure out what the timeline is, because it's not. It is. There's no reason you should have decorations up for Christmas in October. I should have. I'm still gonna go back over there and take some videos because it's
See,
still too early.
I don't
Even
agree
now, it's too early.
because it takes so much to do. Like people who are really into Christmas, it takes a lot to actually get those decorations up. So why not milk it for the 2 months? If you're getting like a real tree and you're getting all types of like stuff on your home, like yeah, this is gonna be up. This got to be up for more than a month. So
I get that. I get that. Anyway, Megan Thee Stallion. And I shouldn't even intro this because I know the women love them some Megan. But she she dropped her documentary, um, and a big part of it was her. Well, not a big part of it, but what has gotten the buzz, I should say, is the fact that she admits to lying about having sex with Tory Lanez when she did her Gayle King interview. Um, so that was one of the first things that happened before the trial was her doing Gayle King. It was a good way for her to kind of change the narrative and tell her side of the story, et cetera, et cetera. And Gayle asked her straight up, like, did you and him have a sexual relationship? And she says no. But on the documentary, she says that she did, and she lied about it. And I guess we should note that when she was on the stand, she did admit to having a sexual relationship with him. So it wasn't that she went in court and also denied it. Um, but yeah, it I think it's more people are talking about it because of the pattern of essentially we been asked to trust you, right? Like you have said that this man did something to you. We've been asked to trust you. So how can we trust you if you took this opportunity to get on this big stage and you lied? Um, I
I Beyonce.
said again.
I blame Beyonce and Jay-Z.
Oh my gosh.
Where was the Rock Nation PR team? Like where were they at? They should have been heavily involved in shaping that narrative around the time when it was going on. I feel like with Megan the Stallion, a lot of it was her trying to hide the fact that she did have a sexual relationship with him, where I feel like her brand, she could have embraced that. Because her brand is all about the hotties. It's all about sexual liberation. It's all about, I'm a pimp. Like this new song, Big in Texas, I love it. And she says, he found out about him. I don't care because I'm a pimp. So I just feel like, with her brand, sort of how Amber Rose kind of did the whole slut walk thing. I feel like if she had a proper PR team, I feel like Megan could have used that to her advantage about victim blaming. It could have been like, yes, I did have sex with him, but that doesn't mean that it was okay for him to shoot me. Yes, we did have a sexual relationship, but I'm a victim. So why are we now blaming the victim? Because I had a sexual relationship with him. So there were so many things that she could have done if she did have a proper PR team without lying. She also didn't have to interview with Gayle King. That's number one. She didn't have to do that. She could have did things on her terms, but where was the PR team? Period.
Yeah, I mean, this entire, I will say, man, like to this day, and I get it. The trial is over. I should believe that she got shot and Tory did it. I am. There is not a case that I've been more confused about in my lifetime. Right, like everything that has come out has been crazy. The fact that there's still no video is crazy. TMZ got video of Puff in a hotel, but they can't from 6 years ago in a hotel that doesn't even exist anymore. But no one can get me video from Megan and Tory outside in the street. Like something is crazy to me. Like, but neither here nor there. Um,
I think because of the not being able to recover that footage, I think that has more to do with who they were connected to. They went to Kylie Jenner's party. I think that has more to do with that connection than it has to do with just wanting to frame Tory and protect Megan. I feel like when you have all of these socialites, because the Kardashians are socialites, they're not celebrities really. They're like socialites. So I think when you kind of have that involved, I think it's a protection level there. So I that's why I think you cannot find this footage. I don't think it has anything to do with Meg and with Tory. It's all of the other parties involved. Um, I do think that Tory Lane shot her. I do believe that, but I just think that things got muffled when you started to look at her sexual past, her sexual, her current sex life. Then when you look at like this friend relationship and her doing something devious by, because apparently Kelsey was the one who was dating Tori, and then she starts having sex with Tori, the that and the third. And I kind of just feel like that's where it became tricky, and that's where she wanted to, oh, I didn't have sex with him, that when it's like, girl, you bisexual, you could have just simply said, yeah, I was having threesomes, like, you get
Right.
what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. I
it's
mean,
just
and in all honesty, I mean, I'll definitely admit, in all honesty, if Tory shot you, it doesn't matter if you smashed him, right? Like we know that most people, most women who are victims are are victims from a male. It's usually someone they know anyway, right? So that part doesn't really, it doesn't matter. It just tells me how ill prepared you were for that interview. It tells me how ill prepared you've been this entire time. It tells me how crazy your team is and how delusional your team is. You've made so many terrible decisions as a person, as an artist in this last 5, 6 year period, right? And that's on you. You don't need my sympathy for that, right? Like, and I think that's the thing here, right? You don't need my sympathy. I don't have to agree that Tory shot you. Tory's in jail. It doesn't matter what I believe, honestly, at all, right? And honestly, like I said, I just don't know what to believe, right? Because on Tory's side, and I say this all the time. I'm gonna try to listen to everything and see what happens, right? Tory got a whole album where he describes in detail their relationship. He describes that night. He describes everything. So if I'm listening to that, I've gotten more facts from his side. He hasn't necessarily lied about anything from his
so
side that I
did
can tell.
he say that he shot her? What did he say? What is he saying? That he's framed? Like, what is he saying?
He doesn't say that he again, he's the defendant, so he doesn't go into too much detail as far as the particulars. But he says essentially how things got messed up was he was trying to mess on Kylie, right? Like Kylie gave him the go ahead, and he was trying to get with her, and that's when Megan like starts cursing. She storms out. He jumps in the car with it, like, "Yo, we came together. Like I didn't, my bad." And then just that ride is where it gets crazy. And then they hop out the car, it gets even crazier. Right. So he doesn't put the blame on anything. And I think that is where his, as much blame as I can put on Megan for just the way she's handled everything and her image and not being prepared in some of these moments, I have to put the equal amount of blame on Tory Lane's legal team. Right? Because realistically, the only reason I'm as confused as I am is because his legal team made some incredibly bad decisions, which is why he should get an appeal because his lawyers have to be the most useless lawyers I've seen in a long time. Like the
He did
fact
testify, right?
he didn't testify, which I've seen people say in recent days that he should have testified. As a defendant, you don't always need to testify, right? In fact, it usually is better for the defendant not to testify, right? Like
I
you,
think it helped him. I think that if he did testify, I think it would have helped him somewhat to explain like the other aspect of like the whole Kylie thing. I think it would have helped him. At least he would have had a voice.
it would have helped. Here's the thing: the fact that they didn't have the security guard testify, you kind of did need him to testify, and because Kelsey's testimony got messed up because again, his lawyer messed up and they ended up having to include more evidence than was necessary.
Right.
Just terrible on that part. So again, that attorney need to be fired. They need to have an appeal just because of the attorney's mess ups. But if you're not going to have that security guard, you needed the issue with Tory's defense and even on the album, and I get why he couldn't do it on the album, but in court you had to do it. You didn't. Their whole defense was, we're not saying you didn't get shot. We just saying it wasn't Tory. However, if that's what you're gonna say, then you got to put somebody up, right? You got to tell me there was either a fifth person that we didn't see, or it was a security guard, or it was definitely Kelsey. But you got to throw somebody under the bus, and he it's like he didn't want to snitch. Now is not the time. Now is not the time. We need to say someone else did it,
And
right?
see,
And I
that's
feel
why,
like that's why he didn't testify.
but
Because
see, he should have.
if he testified, I feel like he would have to say, "Yeah, it wasn't me. However, it was Kelsey." If that's what the defense is, you got to go all out. Like, he thought he was gonna be able to be vague and ambiguous. No, this woman was hit, right? Like, that's not what we. There's no denying that, right?
The question:
Mm-hmm.
was she with Party during this time? Like when? Where?
Party. She got with Party right after that. She got with
Okay,
Party right after that, and
okay.
that's also where it was kind of, it got even messier, and obviously she's not even with Party no more. Um,
He is a really good guy. Like when I say like he's one of those guys that like he's kind of like a male feminist. Like he's a really good guy. Like he respects women to the utmost. Actually, a guy that I used to date is his cousin. So his character, like he is just really for women. You know what I mean? Like he's a really good guy. And so, he got a lot of flack, but he's solid too because he stood by her. You know what I mean? And shout out to Party. Shout out to
I know. Didn't he cheat on her? Didn't that come out? I mean,
I mean, for honesty, it's like Megan was cheating. Megan was doing. And let me just say this: I don't think Megan ever loved him. Let me just say this: I remember when she did an interview with Carisha Please, and she was talking about him, and she said, "I really like him." And I felt like when she said that at that time, y'all had been together too, like a little bit too long for you to just be saying you like him. Like she was just like, I really like him. And I was just like, that's not genuine. She don't love that man. Like I just remember thinking that, and it sucks, but hey, it is what it is. I don't think that Megan is in the position, especially during that time. I don't think she was in the position to love somebody. I think that, with losing your parents and just what you're going through, and then now, you're rich. So it's like you have to maintain that. Like, who wants to go? You're already going outside reputation wise. Who wants to go outside broke? So I just feel like,
yeah.
good luck to Megan. That's all I'm going to say. We rooting for you, girl. That big in Texas, that's the thing. Like, we rooting for you. Just, the documentary, I didn't watch it. Um, I just felt like she could have not said that she lied to Gayle King during that. But you got to remember too that again, these are celebrities, so we may say that they don't have PR teams and whatnot, but they know that bad publicity is still good publicity. So they probably, I'm sure they watched it and was like, you know what, we gonna keep that in because it's your truth. You're gonna get headlines, this, that, and the third. So that was a conscious decision made.
Yeah, no, the documentary was a conscious decision. And I mean, we got to be honest, right? Like, this comes out now because you have an album dropping, or not dropping, but it's out, right? And it's not doing well. So now is the time to try to curry favor. That's my only thing with Megan. I'm not Megan's target audience, right? And I'm very aware of that. I'm not the person she is trying to reach. Um, However, she continues to try to get people to be on her side one way or another, right? Whether it's crying on Gayle King, whether it's crying on a stand, whether it's doing documentaries, whatever the case may be, you want people to say, I believe her and I mess with her. And if that is going to be your approach to life all the time, and every time you drop a project, you want us to be on your side, then you got to do better, and your team got to do better. That's all I'm saying. Like, but do you, girl, man? Like, again, you ain't doing this for me. You don't need
She
dudes
doing
on your side.
That bigot in Texas, I'm telling you, it just got me out of a funk. It got
I
me.
hear that.
I was in a little funk, and thank you, Megan, because I'm definitely feeling like I'm
Back
on top
outside.
of my game.
I
That's an affirmation song. She said, "I'm on top of my game." That's what she said. I'm
hear
in my
that.
prom. Like, thank you, Megan. We
I
love
hear that. Well, my target audience is that little Louisiana fest happened this past weekend, and Lil Wayne did his big one. He brought the homies out. He had the entire Hot Boys. He had the big timers. You know, you got to be of a certain age. You had to have been around in the 99s and 2000s, and before that to really understand how big of a moment that was. In New Orleans, he does Lil Louisiana Fest every year. I want to say for the past 7 years, I may be a little off on that, but for the past at least I believe 7 years, he has done this festival in his city where he brings out some of the biggest names. This year, he brought out the Hot Boys, and that came out after they were supposed to have this original reunion at Essence Fest, and some things just couldn't, business, and it's a lot of. I think we saw that this weekend is how many people have to be on the same page, right? There's four members of the Hot Boys: Lil Wayne, Turk, BG, Juvenile, right? And those are all artists who have had big points of their career at different times.
right.
The big timers is another two. That's Birdman, Manny Fresh. Um, that is Cash Money. That is Cash Money Originals. That's before YM, CMB. That is very early on. And then the reality is, Lil Wayne is still the biggest of this group, right? Or even though when he was part of the Hot Boys, he was the youngest, he was the most unknown, right? But over time, he has now surpassed every other mention. There was a time when the Big Timers was bigger than Lil Wayne and the Hot Boys, right? When when real big, not real big. Um, uh, why is this slipping? Big something. When that came out again, like 98, 99, like Big Times was bigger than Lil Wayne, bigger than the Hot Boys. So the fact that he's been able to surpass them, this couldn't happen. This couldn't come together without him being the one to really put the pieces together. And all the members said that, right? Like, even Birdman at this point, even though he still is the founder, owner, CEO of Cash Money, this can't happen if Lil Wayne doesn't agree, if Lil Wayne doesn't put the pieces together, cut the checks, etc., etc. So it was a great moment for hip hop heads. It was wonderful to see, you know, particularly because Lil Wayne doesn't get the Super Bowl this year. Like, this was his Super Bowl, right? This was his opportunity to kind of show people, the doubters, that he could have done a Super Bowl and it would have been crazy. He would
I,
have been able to bring out some of these big names. We'll get to that in a second. Um, Realistically, like, I think the biggest thing for him, just as a fan watching it, I could tell because I've been around for the Wheezy journey. I moved the cover, but Wayne is usually behind me somewhere. Birdman's up there, but um, he clearly went out, memorized all of his songs, including the Hot Boy stuff. You talking about like a 30-year span of music that he had to go and try to memorize pieces of. And he rapped along to every track he did. He did mixtape Wheezy. He did stuff from how many albums ago. It was crazy to see him do that and was still rapping on every Hot Boys track that he was on that stage for. So it was an amazing thing to see. I still say he could have done the Super Bowl, and I think after seeing last night, I still think he is going to get his opportunity to do the Super Bowl, whether it is as a featured guest, not this year. I don't think he's going to mess with Kendrick at all, but I think he will get that opportunity to do it at some point. But that's another time. It probably won't be in New Orleans. It is what it is. But like I said, last night was his version of that. And in addition to that, the mayor came out, gave him the key to the city, which was big. But then Master P also came out and announced that he was going to get They're gonna do a NOLA Walk of Fame, and he's going to be the first person on that Walk of Fame on Canal Street. If you've been in New Orleans, you know Canal Street is their version of Times Square. So having that is going to be a great look for him, and it's totally well deserved. Um, so yeah, like I was in awe the whole night. Like there were, I've seen comments on social media, right? Like I've seen people say how amazing it was. I've seen people who are like, yeah, no, that's why he didn't get it. You know, if you see some of the performance, just say you're not a Lil Wayne fan, right? Like it's okay. It's okay. If you're not a fan, you're not a fan. Like that's what everything, right? Like if you're not a fan, you're not a fan. I
I'm
still
a little fan. I don't think he's suitable for the Super Bowl.
I get that, you know, and I think a lot of it is
What like my in all honesty, because again, the Super Bowl is whether he's gonna have a 10-minute slot, let's say at most.
12 minutes.
What is he going to perform now? And when I say that, I'm not saying that because he doesn't have music or he doesn't have hits, but I'm saying for the Super Bowl because at his festival he's gonna perform everything because his fans are there. But in all honesty, what? Give me your track list that Wayne can perform at the Super Bowl. Go.
I mean, off rip, he got to do a Millie, right? A Millie is one of his biggest records. Is probably his most popular record.
See that? That's what I'm saying. Like, I agree, but it's like, do we want to hear Lil Wayne on the Super Bowl? A million, like, do we want to hear that?
I
No.
I
Like,
totally get that, but at the same time, we're talking about the same Super Bowl that in recent years has Snoop and Dre and the assembly of Eminem, 50, and Mary. Like that show is the reason why you can have a Lil Wayne show, right? If that show doesn't happen,
a different.
I'm not on the same page. But when you see that show, you can't tell me Lil Wayne can't come out, bring the Hot Boys, like
No. The reason why I say that is because the Hot Boys, they don't have that nationwide appeal that Eminem, Mary J. Blige, or Snoop and Dre has. They just don't. Like, and that's
they don't
not
necessarily
like
have to. They don't
yes,
have to.
they do. Because who want yes, they do. Because when you look at like the show that you just talked about, Mary, Eminem, and I'm not even an Eminem fan, but when you look at all of those people have sold out arenas. All of those people.
I get
The
that.
Hot Boys haven't. So it's just like
I get that. But what I'm saying to you is if you take Lil Wayne and you allow him to create his 12-minute set, you can't tell me Nicki Minaj and Drake don't pop out.
to be
Right?
honest, Nicki Minaj or Drake both would be more suitable for the Super Bowl than Lil Wayne.
I
They
get
should
that.
bring in Lil Wayne out. Like
And that's not gonna happen, right? Like realistically,
that's only not gonna happen because of Jay-Z, because he's not super fans of Drake and Nicki. But if he was cool with them, I'm telling you, Drake would get booked for the Super Bowl faster than Lil Wayne. And he'd be
I
bringing
mean,
Lil Wayne out.
but they've
And
already said that
that,
Drake has been offered it twice, right? Like, so Drake is denied it allegedly. I mean, there's been people that have confirmed. There's been people that said yes. I don't know. Um, Again, I truly think Weezy can do Super Bowl without a problem. Even if even if Weezy just does features, right? That's the thing. Like we act like Weezy didn't have one of the best, maybe the best feature run we've ever seen in our lifetime.
I don't deny that, but all I'm saying is that you have to think about what this event is and what this event means. So, Lil Wayne, in my opinion, he does not have one song that's suitable for the Super Bowl. What is he gonna do? A Millie, Lollipop, Go DJ? Like I'm talking about his own, like outside. What is he gonna do? Nobody wants to
All of
hear,
those is classics. What you mean?
but
You
not
keep
for
saying
the
nobody
Super
wants to
Bowl.
hear that.
Not for the Super Bowl. See, this is what
But
I'm saying. It's
and
class.
here's my thing.
No,
Here's my
it's
thing, right?
for his festival. But nobody watching the Super Bowl wants to hear a Millie, Go DJ and Lollipop. Nobody wants to hear it, and that's why
I
he
get
hasn't been.
that.
And that's just simple as that.
I get that. But to
Nobody
tell
wants to.
me that Lil Wayne isn't a bigger artist than Usher is crazy. And that's where I have to draw the line. Lil Wayne has always been a bigger artist than Usher. There hasn't been a point in Usher's career when Usher was bigger than Lil Wayne.
Okay, but that is not the point. The
What you
point is,
mean?
I'm
Usher
going to
just had it a year ago.
explain it to you. When you're doing an event like the Super Bowl, it's about the optics. The optics are important. Optics are important. Also, your target audience. Usher's audience and Lil Wayne's audience. Usher having a residency in Las Vegas. Has Lil Wayne had a residency in Las Vegas?
He
Who
doesn't
is
need
a
it
big
right now.
deal? You have to look at, like you said, you're not checking for Meg. She's not your target audience. When you look at Lil Wayne's target audience and you look at Usher's target audience, and you look at the people that are going to be watching the Super Bowl, you look at the wives, the housewives, like the appeal. Lil Wayne is not a family oriented artist. He's not. So that's why he's not getting booked for the Super Bowl. He does not appeal to families. He does not appeal to kids. He appeals to a little bit of an older generation and drug addicts and skateboarders. That's who he appeals to. What? And I'm not saying that's a race thing. I'm not saying white, because there's a lot of white people that really bang with Lil Wayne. But why do they bang with Lil Wayne? Now outside of the music, because the music is he's an artist. So outside of the music, why do they bang with Lil Wayne? Because he's a openly drug addict, and also because he's a skateboarder, and another thing too, because he doesn't really have those political racist views. He lives in a bubble where he thinks there's no racism. So white people that love him, they love him because he's out of the way. He doesn't make a stance in that regard. Lil Wayne is not suitable today, tomorrow, 5 years for the Super Bowl. I don't care what anybody has to say about it. He does not appeal to families. He's gonna be looking high and looking crazy. He doesn't have a suitable catalog for the Super Bowl. Nobody wants to hear Millie. Nobody wants to hear Little Lollipop. Nobody wants to hear Go DJ. Nobody wants to hear. The only thing that I think would be suitable as a song for the Super Bowl would be Back That Ass Up. But that's not even his song. But it's because of the impact that it has on people, how it's going to make people move. He starts performing Lollipop, that's not going to get the biggest reaction from people. It's not. Like, I'm sorry. This Lil Wayne thing, pack it up. They done had the Super Bowl in Louisiana before. Why is it such a thing now? He has to do it. Did you want to do it years ago when they did it? Like, please pack it up. Like, this Lil Wayne thing, like,
I get it. And that's the thing. Like, I feel like it's one of those things where it's, in all honesty, people are gonna feel how they feel. If he got it, people would have been excited. People would have made it work. People would have been thankful, right? Like, again, I still think there's a world where he gets it. So I'm not going to even argue whether he should get it or not, because I think there's a world where he gets it. Whether it needs to be in New Orleans or not doesn't really matter. You could do it in Miami. You could bring that nigga out. You could do it in LA. You could bring him out, right? Because next year is going back to Cali. You could bring him out. That's my thing, right? Like, if you were gonna bring Kendrick out, why didn't you wait a year from now when it's actually going to be in California? That would be perfect.
I mean, it's important. It's not about it's see, here's the thing. Not Like Us, it's like the biggest song of this year.
It
The at
is. But what else has that man done? That man ain't done nothing this year. And again, this
the
isn't me even. This
but
isn't
it's the optics, and it's also another thing too. He's a great performer. He's going
that's
to he's going to bring the theatrics. He's going to bring everything to the stage for a Super Bowl performance. Lil Wayne is not. Not
again.
today, not next year in Cali. He's not gonna do like okay. He's gonna, like I said, he's gonna do a Millie. He's gonna do Lollipop. He's gonna do Go DJ. He's gonna do what, Mrs. Officer, and bring out Bobby Valentino. Like, he's gonna do Comfortable and bring out Babyface. Like, what is this man going to perform that's suitable for the Super Bowl?
All those is classic hits that went number one. So what we talking? Except Comfortable, that wasn't a single like that. But
But
again, you're talking about number one singles, right? So to act like the man ain't got hits and the man ain't got features and the man ain't got clout because he's been in the game for 30 years is crazy, right?
but that's not
And
where I'm
again, it's
from.
not saying that Kendrick it's this has become Kendrick versus Lil Wayne. That's not what this is, right? Kendrick, in all accounts, Kendrick is a novice artist as compared to Lil Wayne. Kendrick got 10 years in the game, Lil Wayne got 30. So this ain't competitive at all, right? Realistically, Kendrick could have done this any of the next 5 years and been perfectly fine, right? In fact, Kendrick has been on that stage because he was on it in LA with Snoop and them, right? And to me, again, you can't sit here and tell me that Snoop and Dre is a better sell than Lil Wayne,
They
right?
are.
Like,
They are. They are.
okay. I
Just like
mean, and
but
again, if that's how
this
people feel, then cool.
thing, it's about the impact. It's about the optics. It's not just about the music sales. It's about the impact. It's about the optics. It's about the relatability. It's about it's optics is so important. Little Wayne, his brand is not suitable for
Snoop
daytime
Dogg,
television.
Snoop Dogg got on that stage in Crip Walk in Crip Blue, and he was still we
But you don't get it.
Snoop
His
Dogg is a
dog,
known weed head.
but that's
That
not
is his brand.
but what you don't get about Snoop Dogg is that Snoop Dogg is the biggest rapper in the world because of his brand.
I
Because
understand
of
that.
because not only that, because of his another thing you have to know about Snoop is that Snoop is well rounded. Snoop has done so many different things. He appeals to families because of his brand of being Snoop Dogg, the character, etc. So it's bigger than just you smoke weed. And weed is not dope, lean. It's not weed has also been decriminalized in America. So that's another thing that we're talking about. This man, Lil Wayne, be on heavy narcotics. Like, period. He be on it's
Allegedly.
different. Ain't no allegedly.
Allegedly.
He raps about it. So
Allegedly.
raps about it. This man be on heavy narcotics, nodding. He be sipping lean. He be doing heroin. He be doing crack. He be doing cocaine. He be doing
Allegedly.
heavy narcotics. Snoop be smoking weed. Snoop is a family guy. You know what I mean? I'm not saying Lil Wayne isn't, but I'm saying when you think of his brand, Lil Wayne's brand isn't Family Guy. Snoop Dogg's brand has always been Family Guy. He's been married. He has these kids. He has grandkids. He's been on the shows with Martha Stewart. This is it's about the optics of his brand. Lil Wayne needs to stick with his festival and do that, but I don't ever want to see him on a Super Bowl. I don't want to see it.
I get again, like I'm not here to change people's opinions,
He,
but
he
to act like
but I'm not.
we agree that Lil Wayne is
But
one
I'm
of the
not.
biggest rappers
But
of
I'm.
our lifetime.
But see, this is the thing. I'm not coming from that perspective. I'm not coming from the perspective that he doesn't out rap many. I'm not coming from that perspective. I'm coming from the perspective of the optics. This is where you realize that you can't just go into the corporate job with your dreadlocks, with your tattoos on your face. This is what this is about. And this is not just because you're qualified for the job. The optics and the impact and the association, it matters, especially on daytime television for the Super Bowl. It matters. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he don't got hits. He got hits. I love Lil Wayne, respectfully. I'm not taking away from his artistry. What I'm saying is what everything else that comes with him, as well as the fact that his music, even with them being hits, the music is not suitable. The vibe that the music creates is not suitable for the Super Bowl to me. That's where I'm coming from. When you look at what Mary and all of them did, when you look at that, the music was still, for instance, Gin and Juice, they performed Gin and Juice, right?
I believe so.
Gin and Juice, to me, that's more of a global That's more like to me. That was more like a global, nationwide like type of song because of the impact of it in terms of just gin and juice. Everybody can relate to that, white, black, whatever. Like that was a thing. Little Wayne and any of the songs he made, it didn't have that nationwide impact. I'm not talking about it didn't sell nationwide, it didn't do good, but I'm talking about songs. This music has to have more of an impact than it just selling. And Lil Wayne doesn't, outside of rap hip hop, none of his music has that impact nationwide. It just doesn't. It just
Yeah,
doesn't.
I
And
feel like
we could say he out rap people. We could say all that because it's true. We could say
this conversation has become one of those things where it's like we move the needle and we try to disregard what that person has done, and like we change the criteria and so on and so forth. Again, I think Wheezy has done plenty to deserve it. I still think he will get that opportunity. It sometimes timing is everything. It would have been great to do it in Louisiana, but realistically, it didn't happen. It might still happen. You know what I'm saying? But realistically, there's just no reason why he didn't get it. But I'm still hoping that he gets his opportunity and it all works out for him. So we'll end that right there. Let's hop into Young Doug. Young Doug is home. He was able to get up out of prison this past week in one of the craziest cases we've ever seen in life, the YSL trial. Like it really it's I'm Fanny is the DA out there, man. I have so many questions as to what just took place because Young Thug was hit with a RICO charge. It was one of the craziest. Like he was accused of setting dudes up and plotting murders and running a gang and being the ringleader and just the craziest. And somehow Young Thug was released from prison with pretty much time served. Doug was only in jail for like a year and let's say 2 years, right? Let's call it even 2 years. It was more like a year and some months, 9 months or something like that. But let's call it 2 years just for fun. And after all those charges, after all the court drama, after everything that we saw, they just let that man walk out and said it's a wrap. So I don't know. I feel like the DA, her two big cases have been, and I'm not in Atlanta, so I don't know what else her cases have been, but her two biggest cases have been that Young Thug and Donald Trump, and both of those cases have not gone the way that they were supposed to go. With the Young Thug situation, it appears to me at least. So the sentence or the plea deal that took place, and this was one of the quickest plea deal and sentences we've seen, but essentially he was hit with 40 years, 25 of which would be 40 years, 25 is what he would need to serve technically. But they pled that out to time served, which is still weird. Like, so time served, but then he gets 15 years probation. And if he commits any crimes or violates his probation, he has to do 20 years automatically. And it seems, at least from the outside looking in, that the DA's decided, you know what, we might not be able to actually get a conviction here. So let's just put the onus on Thug that he needs to figure out how to keep himself out of prison. And the only way that can happen is if he's banned from Atlanta. He can't go to Atlanta for 10 years. He has to figure out a way not to mention YSL, which is the name of his record label and his gang, apparently. He has to be unaffiliated with everybody else in his gang. So he can't talk to any of the gang members, any of the the people on his label. The only people he has exemptions for is Gunner and his brother, his actual brother who was also on trial. So it's gonna be extremely hard to do. Like again, just the not going back to Metro Atlanta for 10 years is gonna be kind of crazy. As far as I know, he lived in Atlanta, um, so he basically has to start from scratch. I'm sure he had other homes, so I guess you just got to go to one of your other homes. He's still allowed to perform and make music, but he can't mention YSL or gang affiliations or, you know, can't tweet about it, can't do anything like that. So I think he is going to be under a microscope for the next 15 years. And it's going to be extremely, extremely hard not to violate. I almost feel like the only way he can do this is if he stops making music, like completely steps away from music and just lives a private life. Because I don't know, anything you rap about can be misconstrued as being gang affiliated, and it just feels like a lot. Like you gonna go and perform, and now you can't say YSL. You can't like think about all his old raps. Like how are you gonna perform some of your old songs, which have mentions of these things, right? Like they played a lot of these songs in court. They play lifestyle in court, right? Like so, there's so much you can't do. Um, I almost feel like he just needs to step away. I know the fans, don't want that or would hate that, but realistically, I don't know in what world he can exist as Young Thug and um and still thrive with all the necessary precautions. But that's the struggle he has to deal with at this point. To this day, people are still debating whether or not Gunna was a snitch or not, and a rat, and blah blah blah. A lot of it is just going to come down to some of these conversations behind the scenes, right? Like realistically, Gunna did testify. Gunna did what he had to do to get out of prison. Whether it was damaging a Thug, it wasn't really damaging, right? Like clearly, Thug's home, Gunna's home, everybody's home, right? So honestly, none of this even matters. Yeah, I know Lil Baby kind of had some words with him, and that has to be figured out. A bunch of other rappers had some words for him. Listen, Future and Drake back cool. So anything is possible in the rap game. I think more than ever, like I just realized how insane this industry has become is like it's too I say it all the time. At this point, I don't know what's real and what's fake anymore. It's pretty crazy what the industry has become. Um, but that's the life that we live, and it is what it is. I'm happy he's home. Um, I think I honestly don't even know, right? Like if this man did everything they said he did, then I probably shouldn't be happy he's home, right? Like so, I don't know. Hoping for the best though. All right, before we end things, you got a new book that just dropped, so tell us
I
about that.
do. I do, guys. So I just dropped part one to a two-part series called Seduce Me with Your Lies. It is a urban romantic thriller suspense. So just a little bit about it. It's centered around church is based in Atlanta, Georgia. It's centered around a mega church. I actually used to work at a mega church, so I kind of have like some insight just about like the inner workings of a church as a business. And it's centered around a pastor, a woman pastor actually, who inherited a church from her dad. And she's married. She gets entangled into like this love affair. And it's turns into like this crime story and like this crime of passion type of story. So it's really good. Part one came out on Halloween. Part two will be out November 7th. You can find me on Amazon. Penny Blackwrite. That's Penny Blackwrite is BLACWRITE. There's no K in Blackwrite. My website, www.pennybblackwrite.com. And I'm on Kindle Unlimited. So if you have the membership, you can read for free. And I also have some other great news, which kind of alludes to why you haven't seen us so much. um, I just defended my thesis and I just graduated with my MFA in creative writing, online teaching of writing. So, yay me. And
Congratulations.
I will be a professor soon. So, I'll be, teaching creative writing and teaching English and just getting, young students prepared to write books. So, check me out, guys. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Congrats. It's big, 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 big moves. Make sure y'all go cop that book. Um, but yeah, this was another episode. We back, season 3. Um, Hope to see y'all soon. We gonna crank these out more often as we end this year, and we'll take it from there. Make sure y'all follow us on social media. Parlay with me, PARLE with me, on all platforms, and
Penny Blackwrite. So that's PennyBlackwrites on Instagram. And you can find me on Facebook too.
perfect. We'll see y'all soon.